Hello, I'm Mike Manifold. This video explains some of the problems my wife Sally has been facing from this UK government because very unfairly they won't let her come and live with me here in my London home. So we need to ask for a little bit of your help, please. So thank you very much for watching. I've lived alone in northwest London since 1985 and have at last paid off my home mortgage. Having been alone for many years now, I needed someone to love and be loved by. A wife, ideally, and before it's too late. Unfortunately, our government has decided to penalise me for it, despite a recent survey on the problems of costs to the state of people living alone. I used dating websites to find someone near London, but to no avail. As I'd recently had a meaningful relationship with a Filipina lady, I looked at several Oriental dating sites instead. I was very gratified when I found this lady called Sally, and was very touched by her humility and honesty. This feeling was clearly mutual as we chatted online daily for many weeks. I presented myself truthfully, communicating politely, respectfully and with gentleness. Our Yahoo Messenger exchanges ran from March the 15th to June the 11th, 2012, for an average of 3 hours a day, every day. Our longest chat being 6 hours. On the 12th of June, I flew out to Manila for 3 weeks to meet her rather than just being a tourist. We found each other tremendously compatible, so the visit was a big success. While there, I took Sally's close family to a nearby beach barbecue place to celebrate her birthday. An amazing day out, next to the South China Sea. On returning to London in July 2012, I found that the Home Secretary had just changed the minimum income requirement for UK citizens bringing non-European spouses to the UK to a figure just maddeningly above my own income level. I have a legitimate right to Irish citizenship, so I activated it in preparation for a possible future marriage, but our Home Office seems to be targeting people like me. Ironically, the income rule was successfully appealed in July 2013. But as the Home Office doesn't like being told what to do by the judiciary, they appealed the decision. That case is to be reheard in early March 2014. From London, my communications with Sally progressed as happily as before, using texts and phone calls due to her work commitments. We were fast realising that the increasing tummy tingles we both felt was telling us that we really had found our love match. Something very precious. I had wanted Sally to visit here for a few weeks, but sadly our government refused her a visitor's visa, so I realised I'd have to visit her again, for a longer period this time, in order that we could decide whether to marry or not. Meanwhile, before a flight was booked, we made a provisional wedding arrangement date so that we could go ahead in late December if we finally felt sure enough of each other. That trip was blissful, especially the time spent bonding with my new extended family, so I decided to take 30 of them to the Aniro Resort swimming pool barbecue place in Las Piñas. As you can see, this was a massive hit and produced so many smiling faces of old and young. What a wonderful crowd of happy people having a terrific day out to remember and treasure. We decided to go ahead with the wedding at 2:30 p.m. on the 21st of December 2012 in the Las Piñas Civil Municipal Registry Office. As the office was quite small, we could only invite a few close family relations to the ceremony.
Mr. Michael Albertina, and I propose to our vested individual. I now pronounce you to be tested in the life. So, Mr. Michael, give me now his correct.
Ay, ulit. Matagal.
The day was very spiritually uplifting and a huge success, with Sally's friend Jane acting as camerawoman for the first time in her life. The party afterwards included an impromptu performance by Sally singing one of her favourite songs. She had previously sung professionally in the clubs of Cavite City before her daughter Jonnalyn was born, the father omitting to tell her that he was married, then disappearing and leaving Sally holding the baby. Jonnalyn is a responsible, helpful and very bright teenager whose dream is to become an accountant, thus creating more tax revenue for HMRC. Sadly, this government seems strangely uninterested in immigrants wanting to be taxpayers, as no questions are asked about work and job prospects in the online UK visa application form. It suggests our Home Office assumes that everyone coming here wants free benefits rather than to actually work legitimately and support this country. It's clearly alarming given the immigration crisis our government faces and seems clearly unable to resolve either properly or sensitively. New Year's Eve in the Philippines is almost more important than the Christmas celebrations. There is much feasting and fireworks of the kind that would be banned here, being seriously loud and potentially scary, leaving my ears ringing. The overall effect sounded like a war zone. Shown here is some of the food that Sally and her youngest married son and daughter-in-law prepared, with daughter Jonnalyn supervising the barbecue. Sally is a professional chef and cook and has been frequently since she was 11 years old, when her dad died and her mum was too ill to work. Frustratingly, she had a provisional job offer here at a local restaurant, but because we've been kept waiting for so long, sadly, that opportunity has gone now. She could have been a taxpayer too, if this otherwise intelligent Home Office had thought to ask. In January 2013, having started filling in the online visa application form in December 2012, for permission to live together here, we could only complete and send it off after our actual wedding date. We also had to wait for the issue of the marriage certificate so that we could have a notarized copy made and delivered to the visa centre along with a hard copy of the online visa application form. Sadly, panic must have invaded the Home Office again, as I found when I arrived in London that they had decided to change the rules in December 2012. This time it was to prevent dual nationality citizens of the UK and Europe from bringing in non-European spouses to the UK, for sponsors who had not moved around Europe quite enough. I have been told by a lawyer that apparently the reference to McCarthy on this refusal document is erroneous and not relevant to our situation. But what can one do? When they refused Sally an entry-level visa, we of course appealed the decision. Our appeal was heard in October 2013 and used up yet more funds on credit. The Irish side of the application was refused, but the judge instead considered our application on human rights grounds. We won, but we were informed only in December 2013. Unfortunately, all these legal costs have not only wiped out all my savings, but brought spiralling debt with it, due entirely to an indecisive and insensitive Home Office. This because they still have not informed us of when they will give Sally permission to live with me. This year apart has created such huge personal stress for both of us, with Sally's hopes and dreams of a happily married life with the man she loves put on indeterminate hold. She's experienced 3 tropical storms in her house, with water up to her chest on one occasion, as well as other more serious events. Sally will now describe her view of this year apart, in her own words, filmed by her daughter Jonnalyn on the phone that I bought her.
Hello, I'm Rosalina Manifold. Just call me Sally. Ever since my husband Mike returned to London last February, I've been so lonely because he is 8,000 miles away from me, and I miss him so very much. We're both very depressed all the time, but we have to try to be strong. So we always pray for God's help so that we can be together soon. Besides, we're not young anymore, so time is short. Mike will be 69 on March 9, and this coming June 19, I will be 50. My husband doesn't have any blood relatives in this country. His sister passed away a month after birth, and both his parents passed away some years ago, so I'm sure I'm the only person who can make him happy, but I need him so much too. Please help us.
Our time apart has been such an appalling and senseless waste of time as, amongst other things, it has seen my health go downhill noticeably due to the stress. But thank goodness the NHS is here to help me. Worryingly, if I'm forced into exile by a government that disrespects the love of my life, the cost of private healthcare overseas would probably bankrupt me. It's curious to note that if Sally had been of a European origin, she would have been here long ago. And that sounds a little bit racist, don't you think? So, having started on this journey into married life with so many obstacles put in our path by this government, we feel that it cannot go to waste. So this is why we're asking for a little help, please, to enable us both to live happily together. Remember what Prime Minister Cameron said, widely reported in May 2013. He said, "Everybody in this country has the right to the institution of marriage." Why does our government disrespect my wife and our marriage? Doesn't he mean what he says? Anyway, we're appealing for some financial help from you generous people out there, please, to help repay my increasing debts and to bring my wife and daughter here to London. Thanks very much for watching this and for reading our story. We both hope that you might be able to make an affordable donation to help us achieve our happiness together. After all, genuine love is so very hard to find, is it not? We will personally reply to thank anyone who contributes, and to finish, here's our Christmas New Year card that we sent out this year and which I photographed on Christmas Eve 2012. We hope that you will all have a very happy and successful 2014.